hard as it is.
I just wish I knew what this,
I just think it's just ripping his heart out.
you're missing some information.
There's so much.
Some of these people I've never seen in my life.
Unfortunately, I know.
And I've been here since 2007.
Oh, he did it all? In fact, that's what he was saying.
I don't want to pay. I want variances, but I want to,
I think it's
They just went out and tried.
give me a variance for this. So you coming tomorrow? What's it for now? Oh, that, no, I don't know. You are words. I'd probably lose my temper. I want them to leave it. No, you wouldn't. I'll just sit and listen. I don't know. I need to see them do that.
Good evening. Chair Tracy Olson is unable to attend tonight, so I'll chair tonight's meeting. I call the meeting to order. We rise, pledge to the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In accordance with Resolution 2-2012, you are informed that Scott Stilson, Vincent Drive, is recording tonight's meeting, posting on YouTube. This meeting is also available being recorded electronically on the Zoom platform. In accordance with Resolution 20-2023, the rules of conduct for public meetings and public comment periods shall be observed and are listed at the bottom of the agenda.
And on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, just announcement that the board held an executive session from 5:30 to 6:45 p.m. today, November 13th, to discuss potential acquisition of real estate interests.
Open forum on action items. Anybody on this item? Erin?
Erin, 1025 East School Road. Under number 11 on the agenda, it looks like you're considering a proposal from YSM which is going to cost about $14,000 to revise the jump plan. I think it makes more sense to revisit the plan after we finish the comp plan. Part of the comp plan will be getting a survey from all the residents to see kind of what they want in the community, in the park. So I think that kind of feedback should drive the plan at the park. So I think it just makes sense to wait on that. I believe the original plan was about $5 million. And I think some residents may be of the opinion that we should just keep the park the way it is and not spend millions of dollars to redo a park and basically maintain what we have. I visited the park 5 times in the last few weeks on the weekend. There's nobody there. There's nobody using it. One time there was one car in the parking lot. Another time there was a bunch of teenage kids running around unsupervised, and they were actually throwing rocks at each other, and they actually were climbing on the roof of the snack stand. They had put a board up. I have pictures of them up on the roof. I think we should put security cameras there. I know we're getting them here. And I know we talked about putting it there because safety is a concern in that park, and I think a lot of people don't go there for that reason. So I think we definitely need cameras there. I think it would be helpful to identify those kind of situations. Like, I didn't say anything to those kids. Their parents weren't anywhere around, but if you have pictures of them, then you can put it out on social media. Hey, we want to talk to these kids. You know, they were just causing chaos. But like I said, I don't think a lot of people go to that park. I think hopefully it'll change once the skate park is open and people will use it more. But I definitely don't see a need for more parking right now or millions of dollars spent on redoing the layout. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi on this side? Thank you. Consent agenda. Approve the Board of Supervisors minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 workshop and October 9th, 2024 regular meetings.
You can make a motion if you wish to.
To do them all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because all of the reports are in, correct?
I'll make a motion to approve 1 through 14.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Yep.
Aye.
Aye. Department reports, Board of Supervisors. I have a few things. November 10th, Veterans Day program at Telhi. First, I'd like to acknowledge any veterans that are here. Thank you for your service. We recognize Raymond King, Edward Shultz, Daniel Hillvital, Marlon King, Ken Felsberg, and Samuel Wampler for 2024. Next item, on behalf of Elmerson Honeybrook EMS, we submitted a DCV LSA grant for the purchase of a new ambulance. I believe that was in November of 2023. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We were notified October 24 that it was approved for the full amount for $304,844. Having said this, based upon some of the grants that are being given out and how they're given out, that we probably need to look at forward thinking 2 to 3 years out, pre-planning that so we can be ready for the grants.
Correct. So most of the grants are a year out from award, and then you're not going to get disbursement into the following year. So you have to be looking at budget year +1 to start the replanning.
Quick note on the food pantry, success stories. Despite emergencies and difficult living conditions, we've seen some notable successes. The 2 largest families they've seen, for 8 and 9 members, have achieved financial stability and no longer want to require our assistance. Long-term participant earned a bachelor's degree through VA benefits, and 2 single mothers who registered last Christmas are now employed and receiving college tuition support from their employer, with 1 making the dean's list. Upcoming events. For the first time, we will provide a complete ham dinner for Thanksgiving at both November distributions. Winter coats will be offered during each of our November and December distributions. Our December offerings will include our annual holiday turkey dinner along with toys on December 14th. There's some good stuff coming out of the food pantry. And that's all I have for the Board of Supervisors. Don, Public Works?
The only thing I got is we've been cleaning up some leaves out of the ditches and pipes here in the last week. Cutting some brush, getting that kind of under control. We still got a little work to do on getting some of the equipment ready for winter yet, but since the fall the way it's been, I'm not pushing that too much right now. So the other thing is I had no update yet on the new boom mower for when the delivery is going to be on it. And I did have some questions about the old one. People asked me, so I just kind of wanted to make note of it that the old tractor is a 2009. It's got 10,000 hours on it. And it's getting to the point it needs to be replaced. And the only thing we really do with that tractor is just mow along the roads and brush. The new boom mower will have 2 different type of mower heads with it, so one's for grass, one's for brush. And it's going to have a hitch on the front of it with hydraulics up there, so we can put many different attachments on the front of that machine. So we're going to get a lot more use out of it than just mowing roads with it. It's going to be a lot more versatile, so I think it'll be a plus for us. Don't know when it's coming in yet, that's all.
Thanks, Don. Kristy, Executive Assistant report.
Not too much to report, other than, as you all may have heard, there is a burn ban in effect in the county until November 24. Our fire personnel have been out, brush fire after brush fire, all over the county. So, hoping for some rain, but a shout out to our fire departments for keeping us safe. That's all I have.
Thanks, Kristy. Warren, manager report.
As always, ask you to just approve and accept my written report. Just of note, earlier this week we did get notified by DCNR that our grant that we had written for the repavement of the tennis and pickleball courts actually won the award for $212,000. So we'll have to talk about what we'll do with that, if we want to rethink that, try to rework it to another project within the park that still deals with something similar, or if we want to let them know that we are not interested in accepting it, but that's a discussion we'll have further.
When did they got to be notified?
This was just a notice of award, so we still have to go through the process of some additional steps to sign off on it, and then, so we have several weeks, it's not a couple months to decide. At any point, we can let them know whether we're interested in it or not.
Thank you, Warren. Rocky, library?
Yeah, we're moving forward. We just completed phase one, which is the external buildings. In fact, we moved the children's library and the young adults into that. We closed down the library from the 11th to 13th to do PennDOT work, our extension onto Route 10. And so we have that closed as we pave that area. But it's looking great. We sent our invitations out to anyone and everyone to come visit the place. It's quite impressive, both inside and outside. And we're looking forward to, it doesn't appear we're going to be there for Christmas, but probably a little bit after Christmas we'll have our opening ceremony for that facility. So it's been a lot of work. The contractors have been fantastic. And we've surmounted all of our permits and regulations and all that stuff. And we're on a downward slope right now, so things are looking good.
Very good, thank you. Land pres, anybody here from land preservation?
I don't see anybody.
Planning commission?
I believe there's a couple of commissioners here this evening, but just for a quick overview, our meeting is actually tomorrow evening in the building here at 7 o'clock. I believe the agenda has been posted on the website, Kristy?
Yes, but it's outside too.
Yeah, so it's posted out there. I think we have a sketch plan for discussion along with a variance application and a conditional use application that'll be coming to you for next month for hearing. There's also an item on the agenda tonight that also might appear on the planning commission agenda pending the outcome of the conversation this evening. So those are the business items. Again, for tomorrow night, because of the holiday, it was moved up 2 weeks for the Thanksgiving. Gary or Erin, do you have anything else to add?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I did have a question for you. Keystone Court, do you have any issues out of them?
As far as,
What they're doing in the back with the pipes and stuff?
I believe we've had conversations with them on that. That was with my other engineer, Jennifer. She's been following up with them on those items. So if you have any particular questions, you can let me know about those and I'll get back to you on that.
Recreation and Park Board. Yep.
Just want to invite everybody to the Christmas tree lighting ceremony on the 4th, before the workshop, I believe. And also, I think maybe we'll have some hot chocolate and cookies like last time, if that's okay. And I checked out the skate park a couple times. It looks like it's ready. Their skaters have been on it. And I stopped and talked to the gentleman who is in charge of the project, quite the character. He's been working really hard down there, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's some people who want. I know I have my skateboard out. I've been moving it up and all, but.
So Kevin?
Yes, sir.
I spoke with them today, that they are thinking of a soft launch December 7th, like a soft grand opening. So that would be a Saturday. He believes at that point the park should be handed back over to the township, and he's willing to cook burgers. So he's going to let me know once we speak to the landscape architect whether that's a possibility. If so, I'll have Miranda or I'll reach out to you, and we can get something short notice.
That's all good.
And then we'll plan on having an actual grand ceremony next year when it's more than people are.
Right. I'm going to see you out there.
We'll see you in the hospital.
I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Kevin, you said 12/4 for the light, tree lighting?
I think that's what we said we're going to do.
Do you have time?
Big time.
The time can be whatever you want.
Your meeting starts at 7. Last year, I think we did it at 6. Had a nice little turnout last year, so hopefully we have a little turnout this year too. Excuse me, Gateway Baptist Church are going to come and sing Christmas carols again. So we're going to reach out to a few other churches between now and then. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. New business, approve, not approve the list of bills for payment as prepared by the treasurer. Make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
See you tomorrow.
Let's see, motion to take a position of support, not support, no position on the following request of Carfa, LLC, 37 Danton Road, tax parcel number 22-8-8.3-E.
And just for the board, these are two variants that are being requested by the applicant. I believe there's someone here this evening. I'll ask them to come forward and give you an overview of the project.
Good evening. Do you mind if we grab a seat, please?
You can use the
My name is Steve Cox with Urban Council, Steve Comm from Departmental Capital, and Chris Sespico. Please tell me I got that right. Got it. Thank you. Are we your first commercial solar facility application in the township? Sure. So, a quick overview of a solar energy generation facility. It's one of the only true passive uses of land once complete. The facility consists of a security fence around the perimeter, the racking for the panels, and the solar panels themselves, with some transformers and an interconnection point to the utility grid. Underneath the panels, it's grass and meadow mix. It's functionally unique in that the way DEP treats the panels, they treat them actually as pervious surface. Because unlike the parking lot, where rainwater can gather, collect, and accelerate, and Chris, sorry I'm getting in your lane, I'm not going to engineer construction. The rainwater that gathers on the solar panel runs immediately into the ground underneath the panel below. So depending on our infiltration tests, stormwater facilities are pretty minimal. It's usually just some drainage trenches. There's no noise of any effect. The panels themselves are a matte anti-glare coated. Traffic after construction is really just a landscape crew several times a year subject to township requirements. And again, it's very passive. So the property in question is the Northwestern Chester County Municipal Authority property. So this would be on the rear of the property from Danton Road. Visibility is really minimal to any surrounding properties. And are there any general questions? And I'd like to give my client an opportunity to tell you about what they do and that they've done this successfully elsewhere.
The power that's generated from this, is it going to stay with that property or where is it?
No, we have an agreement in place with, to connect to their existing infrastructure, for their own property, and go out to the transformer, and we will be selling power,
And this is on the municipal funds on their property, so what do they do?
What's their benefit?
They have a long-term lease, so they have a financial benefit, with rent payment. I should have mentioned within that lease is a decommissioning requirement. And again, the use for life of the property, Carpet Capital is financially obligated to remove infrastructure, everything, and restore the property and the grounds back to the state that it's in.
Will that language be included in any further contracts? You guys go out or sell to someone else? So will that decommissioning follow that?
We'd be happy to provide the decommissioning language from the lease so that it can be incorporated for the condition of the zoning hearing board. Assuming we get zoning hearing board, we expect such a condition in any land development agreements and even as that comes in.
And what's the expected lifespan?
The answer is actually, we probably don't know yet. I can tell you that the panels we use are warranted for 20 years, but the expectancy is going to be more along the lines of 35 or so. When I say they're warranted to be or to operate at 8% or better for those 20 years, they kind of lose their potency as time goes on. And then at the end of those 20 years, there'll be a business decision. We will more than likely go back to the municipal authority and seek to exercise some extensions. There are some extensions worked out into the lease. So you can go for as many as 30 years, 35 years.
So on this drawing, so these properties that border up against this here, you're saying there's going to be a fence around here that they won't, like how high is that fence? Will they?
8 feet.
8 feet.
And there's also some wooded area at the top of the property.
We haven't shown any buffering either on the plan yet, but assuming the ordinance required during land development, that would be, so we're not asking for any zoning relief from any of those requirements.
When you go to dispose of a panel, what would your process be?
I mean, they're removed from the property.
Did you stick them to the local landfill, or is there a specific place they would send in yours to come from this?
More than likely, they'll have value still, and so probably be available for resale. To someone that can use them at a less efficient standard. We don't know of an official of recycling this one. But more than likely, they'll still have value, and still be useful in our release surface.
The panels themselves, are they USA made?
They will not be USA made. Unfortunately, overseas is more efficient than making them.
If I missed it, I apologize, but what is the area that the panels will be on? The acreage? Yeah.
So the site area is 13.2 acres, and that's represented with this outline right here, which is kind of a purplish line labeled as limit of disturbance, LOD. And just inside of that line is a line with an X on it that represents the fence line. And there will be a setback for about 100 feet minimum from the property line.
construction of this facility, is it local labor? Is it brought-in labor? Is it American labor?
So the Pennsylvania DEP has a required certification of contractors. So my client will have to select from one of those installers to make sure that they're certified by DEP to do the installation. And then typically those are represent, Steve, tell me to shut up if you're good. Represent clients throughout the state of this application. So they're typically a local vendor because that's the, you don't have to pay as much mobilization charges, but they'll bid that out, and they usually use employees of the company because they have to be trained and certified, and there's a host of industry certifications in addition to the DEP installation certification.
And would that be consistent with like the going rate, or is that, does the DEP dictate that?
So as far as
Prevailing wage.
for prevailing wage, there's no Davis Bacon Act requirements, so they're private enterprises. There's no government funding or grants associated with this project. So the market rate labor, not necessarily union rate labor.
And this is your project, will you guys be on site the same exact time that the contractors will be working also?
So I'm going to walk through your relationship with the project and your site contractor.
Oversight, yeah.
We will have oversight, yeah. What will happen, and going back to, the project will be open for bids, and we will put out something around an RFP for that, the winning bid, obviously, to build it. We will have construction supervisors to oversee and checking on progress, for sure.
And that was about a 6 to 8 month, I thought I read somewhere, 6 to 8 month project?
I would, to be conservative, say the sort of the 6 to 10 month range for what we would call mechanical completion, meaning that the heavy lifting's done and everything's in place and all that stuff. There's usually actually a couple more months of, programming-ish type of work to do to get it up online and get it But yeah, 6 to 10 months for the mechanical completion.
And that commercial site work and grading, ENS controls, things like that.
Absolutely, yes.
So best case scenario, the end of next year?
Depending on how quickly we get through the development.
Yeah, and we're also subject to PP&Ls. While we're doing this, PP&L also has work to do on it. They have infrastructure upgrades to do, which we pay for. But we're kind of a little bit at the mercy of their schedule, so it can be probably about another 6 to 8 months beyond that before we're up, complete.
Okay. And one last question, where are you guys from? Where's your company?
Sincarfa is headquartered in New York. We have an office where I work in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Just to add, we have projects all around the country, primarily in the Northeast. We've got sites in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, and Maine, and also has projects out west, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and projects in North Carolina, South Carolina as well. So we are all around the country.
And so your closest one would be Jersey?
Jersey, yeah. The most prevalent, or is, I don't know if it's the nearest, but would be the Gems Landfill site in Gloucester Township. That is a project we built on the Cap landfill.
Is this on the schedule for zoning?
I think the hearing, do we have a hearing date, Kristy?
The hearing date is
25th for this month. So, the planning commission did discuss this at their last meeting. They recommended supporting the application for the relief. I did meet with these folks in a pre-application meeting that basically guided them as far as what zoning relief would be necessary. I did review that ahead of time. This is actually my second application with these folks. I'm actually township engineer in Lancaster in Bracknell. They're doing the same outfits in Carpa. They're doing a project over there as well. They're also too going through the zoning process over there. So it's important to know that this is only the first step. There's the zoning approval process first, and then this will be back before planning and board of supervisors for land development approvals. There is requirements in your ordinance already about the decommissioning items, the agreements that are necessary, financial security. So those items will be handled as part of the land development process. So you'll have another chance to review this once that gets submitted as well.
Another question. Once this is all installed and it's up and running, just assuming that, how much, is there a lot of traffic that goes up and, like, is there?
Very, very little. It's an unmanned facility. It's monitored remotely, both by us and by BPNL. And so our visits will probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 times a year. In the growing months, seasons we'll have to do landscaping work there to keep the vegetation too tall. And there will likely be a couple of maintenance visits that are needed, but never any heavy machinery or anything like that. So decided to pick up truck on that.
I will make a motion,
And just, well, real quick, the zoning relief, it's, can you,
Zoning.
your alternative,
Yeah,
right? Just so we understand what you're asking for.
Sure, so
So we don't confuse things.
the zoning relief, so looking at the township ordinance, an accessory solar facility is allowed in all districts by right. So we've asked first for a variance from section 2017-1703-6. I'm sorry, 27-1702 to permit two principal uses on the property, or the zoning hearing board to make a determination that this solar facility use would be accessory to the existing municipal authority. Secondly, we've asked for an impervious surface variance from section 27-1703-6 to allow 10.7% impervious coverage, where the maximum is 5%, and that's inclusive of the entire tract, including what's on there from the municipal authority as well. Or in the alternative, consistent with DEB's treatment, and I think there's some definitional flexibility in the township ordinance related to impervious surface coverage. The zoning hearing board can also make a determination that the panels themselves are not pervious, in which case we will be below the 5% threshold.
And just to be clear, when you're looking for the interpretation that it's a second principal use, then it actually is a use variance because it's not a principal use permitted by right in
Correct.
Correct?
Correct. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, just in terms of the standards, use variance is something that the ordinance permits by right, solar as an accessory. Clear, and so the zoning hearing board is gonna have to wrestle with, is this accessory? Because how many properties have a sewage treatment plant as their principal use? So, it's.
It's a little unique.
Right.
It's effectively two very passive uses on the same property, so is one principal or they both principal.
The use variance has a much higher burden for them to prove, that'll be on them, the zoning hearing board, if that's the interpretation, or if they deem it accessory, then the relief you're asking for is just to exceed the impervious allowed under the accessory use.
I identified them as two separate.
Yeah.
So it's probably better to, yeah. Planning commission, just to clarify, they did support both of the items, but I think they're two separate motions would make sense.
So A, a variance from section 27-1702 of the zoning ordinance of 2018 as amended to allow a renewable energy system as the second principal use on the same property as the existing sewage treatment plant owned and operated by the Northwestern Chester County Municipal Authority. Make the motion.
I'll make a motion to take the position of support.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I think B would be, in the event that that variance request
Is not.
Are you asking them in that order? Are you trying to be principal? They seem backwards to me.
Yeah, so,
If I did not-
I could have reversed the order.
Okay.
We just
Okay.
kind of, just to lay it out for the zoning hearing board, we'll walk through with them.
Okay.
We'll start with the accessory use and explain why we consider an accessory use, but in the alternative, it would be a use.
And
variance.
All right, so then I think the motion would just be essentially, motion of support, not support, or the position as to, the scenario where it's deemed by zoning hearing board to be an accessory use, to grant the variance.
And identify the date.
for the impervious coverage.
I'll make the motion to support.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you. Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Item 3, authorize, not authorize the solicitor to publish a conditional use hearing notice for application CU 2024-1, application of the Frame Estate, 1400 Mount Road, parcel 22-7-65, to operate a craft bus depot on the premises. Proposed hearing date is December 11th, 2024, at 6 p.m.
Yeah, and just as context, that's just a conditional use, zoning approval application that came in at the end of last month. We had to hold the hearing within 60 days, and so with it being holidays, everyone agreed it was easy to probably try to have that same night as the meeting, so and the applicant is available to hold that evening prior to the meeting at 6 p.m.
And the PC will be discussing that tomorrow.
Correct. That's on their agenda.
I'll make a motion to authorize the solicitor to publish conditional use hearing notice.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Number 4, authorize, not authorize resolution 2024-14, appropriation of unencumbered funds for a $42,000 donation to the Huntsville Community Library.
So we spoke about this really last month with Rocky, and as noted, it was proposed for the 2025 budget. Rocky had indicated a need for it this year, so by doing it this year, this resolution will allow us to give those unencumbered funds this evening, do a budget amendment, and then that donation will be removed from the 2025 budget. So the budget that we're going to have out in the lobby, not the one that's published in the packet tonight, will show that capital contribution removed for 2025.
Just fast forward.
Correct, so we just transfer that to this year, we should have a surplus, and then next year's proposed budget shows a minimal deficit, but that number would be closed by the 42,000.
I'll make the motion to authorize.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't leave without that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 5, authorize, not authorize resolution 2024-15, signing of a grant application for a fire engine for the Honeybrook Fire Company, number 1, in the amount $967,917.
So this would be a grant similar to what you spoke about, that the ambulance got awarded. The grants are anywhere from $20,000 up to $1 million. I had spoken with the fire company. Thankfully, their engine came in under that wire. There is no matching funds required for a local share account, and this is generated from horse gambling throughout the state. I think it's an easy decision. Cost the township $100 to file the application. And again, this is something that would be in by November 30th, potentially awarded by October 2025. So we'd be looking at a 2026 disbursement, and that runs in line with the estimated arrival dates for the fire company. So it goes back to what Sal had mentioned earlier, that we kind of have to look a little bit further down the road, and there's grant opportunities to support EMS and fire, because there are times to order ambulances and fire trucks are stretching out 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it gives us the opportunity to maybe take the load off the volunteer organization that have to go fundraise. They still will fundraise, but then they'll have to go in their bank. So the next time they have to get a truck, a little bit closer to closing that gap. So I would ask that you authorize that, and I would get that out the next week or two. And the resolution is part of the application process.
And is this $967,000, is this for something that is on order? Is it to be, what type of equipment is it?
It's the first response piece, the one that's now 22 years old, replacement.
And that's a pumping engine.
Yes.
But it's the first due out for most truck providers. So that's the one that probably heads out the door first, unless there's some special need for some other type of specialty equipment.
Okay.
And just to note, the fire company decided to purchase a ladder truck that was not previously in their thoughts, correct? So,
Yes.
even though I think they're going to be going used, this would kind of free up some of that money that they've already started collecting for that other purchase. And again, obviously, when that vehicle comes closer, we would apply it.
Anything else, Dad?
No, that's enough.
Make a motion to authorize the resolution 2024-15 to sign the grant application.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks for you guys do. 6, motion to authorize the township manager to sign the letter of engagement with YSM to update the James Humble Memorial Park master plan.
So this was something that was spoken about at the Record Park meeting when we were talking about their budget requests. There's some agreement within, I believe, the board and the rec committee that something needs to continue to change up there to maybe open up some space in the park. And that might be removing a baseball field or doing something else and trying to make it a little bit more open. It's very congested as it is. We have a current master plan that Erin had spoken about earlier that had $2019, fast approaching $5 million. So the version of this plan would be to work on something that would be tangible within reach of the township with grants, and that could be something of a reasonable cost. So they would kind of update the master plan and do some designs, site analysis, cost analysis, final projects. So that would be something that we could sign now. The approximate cost is $13,800, and they would start working with Rec and Park in next year's calendar year.
Your time frame on it?
It's as fast as the rec wants to go. The funding would be coming from the rec fund, which does have the funds to pay for it next year. We don't have a start date in here. That would be something that, if the board is interested, I'd work with Kevin to see when it would be a good time to start taking off that project. But I can't see it once it starts taking more than a few months. And again, that could change if the board wanted to see another surveyor go out, you know, and take a better look at the community, as Erin has stated with the Comm plan update.
Thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, our thoughts were that parking is non-existent. It's less now with its new skate park, and I'm hoping what Erin was referring to is just the fact that the seasons are changing and the place really looks under repair right now. I felt a little different that the use in the park throughout the season was actually trending the other direction. And time will tell, but our thoughts are that right now it's a baseball park, and which is really great for the kids who play baseball and softball. It's a great resource, but if you really look at the big picture, it's all we have. It's 13, 14, it's whatever acreage it is, all the good land is consumed by the tennis courts and the basketball courts and the baseball fields. I don't foresee a big financial investment in this thing. I really don't, even long term I don't, just because it's a great, it's a great point, that what for, right? It just doesn't get a lot of use. But I would like to see things moved around a little bit, so there's a little more open space. And we clarify a little bit better where the parking space is, maybe get a little parking in the back of that park, maybe have a legit tot lot that's not really in the flight, the ball flight of batted balls. Everyone knows that the backside of that park as a wetland is not where kids should be playing. Our plan is to put a relatively inexpensive disc golf course back there. If it happens, that's great. But it still doesn't address the limited parking and access to the backside of that park. And at that point right there, we said, we need somebody to come in here and take a look at this thing, because we obviously aren't going to go with the $5 billion route. But it's going to cost a couple bucks to do what we want to do. And let's get some advice from from YSM. And it's kind of where we're at.
Thank you. I respect your comments.
So this is really just gonna look at what was done before and scale it down.
They're going to help us.
And move, it's gonna
They're gonna-
potentially move, or potentially look at, right,
We don't know what the.
So they're going to engage with Park and Rec, get some feedback, and then provide two separate sketches about what could fit in, again, with the budget, with the current Park and Rec is hearing from the community. And again, if they decide that they need to add a survey or something like that, that can be done. But this is just doing a revisit of the site, hearing input, giving two options with some cost projections, and then seeing where we want to go with that updated plan.
And there is a strong group, there is a strong voice to resurvey the public and find out what the community would like on the parking record. So, you know, see where it goes.
I'll make the motion to authorize that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Seven, authorize, not authorize the advertisement of the 2025 budget for public comment.
So this is just required by law. We have to have it out for at least 20 days. We'll put an advertisement out that it's available for public review in our office. We'll also post the complete budget on our website. And then we'll just tell people that send public comment into info or through an email to the township, and we will get that out to the board. And then at the December meeting, it will be up to make it the approved budget for 2025 without any changes that might occur, like the library change. And then the next thing on here is our contracted amount went up by what we thought $900 for our donations to Troy Valley. So we'll make micro adjustments, but it shouldn't be anything substantial like that. And that will be presented that December by Peter Barnes with the township trip.
I'll make the motion to authorize to advertise budget.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Eight, authorize, not authorize the township manager to sign an agreement with the Twin Valley Fire Department for 2025.
So this is an annual agreement. They're one of two emergency fire companies that provide service. They do a small building up to Welsh Mountain. It's based upon the population that they serve within our community, and they kind of break that down into a method of millage rate. So generally, it's been hovering around $2,000, $1,800 as their costs go up. Their ask of all the various communities go up as well. So this year will be $2,902 for 2025.
I'll make the motion to authorize.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nine, approve, not approve a full security release of funds for David and Miriam Stoltzfus, 807 South Burwell Road. ID 22-80-102, in the amount of $26,457.20 for completed stormwater control.
And just for the board's benefit, this was a new dwelling, barn, and an associated driveway. They have to go through the stormwater management process and review. We've inspected all of those improvements and are recommending releasing the remaining funds for that project when it's complete.
I'll make the motion to approve the security release.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 10, approve, not approve a release request for Chestnut Ridge Stages 2 and 3, IDs 22-8-52.4 and 22-8-52.3 respectively, in the amount of $37,719.
Just to summarize, this is the ongoing development at Chestnut Ridge, phases 2 and 3. The majority of the improvements that are being released have to do with sidewalks and driveways being installed for the new homes that are being constructed out there, and that's reflected in the amount. Just should be noted that there is a remaining balance of $935,360 for the remaining improvements yet to be completed that are still being withheld.
Thanks. Make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 11, authorize, not authorize the recommendation of YSM Architects for a partial payment in the amount of $81,809.46 to Armed Concrete for completed work on Phase 1 Skate Park project at James Under Memorial Park.
Just the ongoing payment request, I spoke with them today, they're all but finished, they just have some landscaping, grass seeding to do and some cleanup. The park benches aren't in yet, so they can't
paved, and the path was paved. They're coming back tomorrow to actually paint the parking spaces. So we're just waiting on our architects, project manager, to ensure that it's at that point, then we'll do the final release. And again, we're talking about being set for a December 7th soft opening.
I'll make a motion to authorize the recommendation, YSM Architects for the partial payment.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Other new business. Item discussion, request to amend conditionally approved plan of Vernon McIntyre, 3766 Horseshoe Pike, ID 22-7-77.1.
And just to give the board a little bit of background on this, there was a land development project at that location that was conditionally approved back in March of this year. The developer has since been working on the outside agency approvals of sewer, water, PennDOT, and so forth. Mr. McIntyre contacted me, I say a month ago or so, to discuss the potential of reducing some of the pavement widths and some of the paving on the property to perhaps lower the amount of financial security that would be required to be posted at the time for the land development to be recorded. So I believe that's what the intent of the discussion tonight. I'll let Vernon give you a little more background on it, a little more detail, and then I can jump in and provide you with a little more feedback at that point, if that works for you guys. Okay. Vernon?
And wasn't this the same property that at one time was zoned one thing and changed to something else and changed back or something?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's 13 properties that were zoned residential, and 8 months later, they took to rezone back to commercial. The ones along 322 there.
Mixed
So I'm right
use
next to
commercial.
Right, it's a mixed-use commercial currently. Has an existing dwelling unit on it in the front that is in poor repair with a basement.
One of the worst in the township, embarrassing.
Yeah.
And just as to process, this is really, I think, the intention from your end tonight is as a gut check with the board. Because it would
Right.
have to go back with an amendment to that land development plan
That's
to
correct.
show the revisions, you know, if there's any zoning relief required, that would have to be done. But before we go through any of the next formalities, wanted to kind of come tonight and have a conversation.
Correct.
Absolutely correct. 60,000, and look, I got all the emails back and forth, I just didn't pay attention at the end. When I looked at it, it was not economically viable to do. And the township requirements for 24-foot wide driveway going back is way more than is needed, in my opinion, for the 3 or 4 cars a day that would be on there. So I suggested going back to 16 feet and also shrinking the parking in front of the twin houses down to 16 by 18, but with Mike's recommendation, I would certainly go back to 18 by 18. What I'm trying to do is to keep this economically viable and build, tear a house down, raise that, do the improvements up into the house and build a house. And as a second part, when I apply for a building permit for the proposed contractor shop, then I would put that escrow that would be required there, would just separate 2 escrows. I'd like to, I imagine you saw Mike's letter, but the first thing he said is to make it so that I could phase it to a building permit for the twins and do all those improvements. And then when I apply for a building permit for the contractor shop, to do that as a second escrow amount. That's the first one. The second comment was to make it 18 by 18, which certainly makes sense. I would go with that rather than a variance. The third, the driveway, I had it at 16 feet, and he says it needs to be 20 feet coming into the twins. And then I'd still like to make it down to 16 feet. You don't need that much more impervious area. It just adds to the stormwater and everything. So I'd like to do that. Again, the next thing I'd like to do is to pave the first section. I have edge of paving on here, and then I'd like to pave the second, make that a second part of the escrow. And then I'd like to eliminate the sidewalk and put a revision in the plan that if The township requires it, that I do it at my sole expense. I've owned this property for over 30 years. I've been on it for another 20 years, till 90. So it's not like I'm going anywhere. And I'm trying to make this into something that it isn't. So I'm just trying to get the temperature of the supervisors. If you go back and engineer a plan, and it's approved by the planning commission, would you support those kind of changes on the plan? The ones that Mike has enumerated here.
I guess the first thing I would say is I support our planning commission. So it would have to be a real challenge for me to go against my planning commission. Having said that, I think I was involved in the meetings, one or two of the meetings when they were up here before, and they were, if I remember correctly, they gave you some relief on some other things. Do you have the amount of items that they gave you relief on and what they were?
I don't have them, and I don't have the good memory.
Do you have them? Valerie or Erin?
I might have them if I did.
The first one was to have a mixed use, where I had an existing house that was kind of used as a two-unit, like, I've been living with that for 4 years, they were the worst times I've ever had. So, I'd like to raise that, put new twins in, I submitted a plan on what that exactly will look like. We also want to put a contract shop in the back.
Right.
And that's what that was the biggest relief that I did yet.
Was there a water issue too, something about the
Yeah.
driveway and wetland or something?
I can actually, if you want me to enumerate, I actually brought the plan along.
No, this is from the
case.
original, this is
From the original.
March or April?
Yeah, the conditionally approved plan. Vernon had gotten variances from the zoning hearing board for the uses. The flood hazard district as a special exception in the wetland margin from approach with the driveway coming into the property. So those variances were granted for the use and the driveway itself. And then there were waivers granted to allow this as a minor land development for the driveway separation along 322, subject to approval of PennDOT. Waiver from the sidewalk, provided sidewalk is provided on the, I guess it would be the western portion of the new driveway. And then there were four stormwater-related waivers that were partial waivers that were granted for certain design criteria of the stormwater system. So those were the waivers and the variances that were approved.
Is there something on landscape too?
That was subject because it was viewed as a minor land development. The planning commission had the ability to dictate more or less where the screening would come into play, and that was provided on the plan per the planning commission's recommendation.
So then fast forward, and now you're proposing, what items are you proposing?
What I would like is some relief on a 24-foot wide driveway going back from 322 to the contractor shop. For the, I mean, you've got township roads that are 16 foot wide, and we're not using, the proposed use of this is very, very minimal. A couple of cars a day, we're not doing high-speed passes. So I've got to go back to reduce from 24-foot wide to 16-foot wide driveway going back.
But there is a contractor, potential contractor business in the back that could potentially have a tree. I think you were talking about a tree service coming in there or something?
Tree service, correct, good memory. Language review of tree service.
So you potentially have bigger trucks coming in and out there?
The department there during the daytime, but, they're out on the job during the daytime.
And where else do you go?
Well, that's the only thing we have right now. I don't
So
have-
just the shrinking of the driveway?
So I'm just looking to shrink the driveway down. And I thought 16 feet, but if the minimum is 20 feet from PennDOT, I have to make it 20 feet going in from the road, and skip the curves, and then just come back to the twins and then neck it down to 16 feet from there. And I'd pave it in two different sections, pave it up to the twins, and then at the point when I apply for a building permit, then that would trigger the escrow for the contractor shop and those improvements.
guess I'll get back to my, my opinion of it is, again, I support the planning commission. Pretty much stand behind what they'll say. I'm not crazy about the waivers and then waivers again and then continuation. I appreciate you want to get rid of the structure that's there and make the improvements. I get a little edgy on the continuation of changing stuff.
I understand, and it was my responsibility to stay on top of the finances, but when I got the plan and started applying and looking at it closely, was I've got to walk away from this plan. I can't do it. It's not economically viable for me. It's not going to work for anybody. So I would just walk away from the plan right now if I can't get any relief. And I understand that we've got to make a decision on what's best for the citizens of this township going forward.
I can offer, it sounds to me, Sal, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have this as a placeholder on tomorrow night's planning commission agenda. One of the options you could choose is to merely send it to the planning commission for their formal recommendation on those relief items to come back to you as a board. That is an option before you, because this is more or less a change of a plan that's already been conditionally approved, so we don't have any time constraints necessarily, but it could be taken back to the planning commission for their input on those areas that are identified in the email. And then you would have that information available to you again for formal action on any relief that would be recommended by the PC.
I guess, we're at sort of a sketch. Sort
It's
of
a sketch,
Like sketch, it's not the formal
Correct.
resubmission of a revised plan,
That's
but I
correct.
think that with enough information, the board could grant the waiver, and then that be incorporated into a resubmission.
Into a resubmission, right, right.
But is it finished or now?
I agree with this, but I think the planning commission should spend more time, in the weeds of it, and give some thoughtful recommendations to the planning commission. I think, if you're wholly against what he's saying is why he's here tonight. If there's openness to hearing from the planning commission their thoughts, was sort of the goal. Because we tried to send him to plan, and he said, I want
That was
to
our initial
make sure
recommendation.
the board
Yes.
doesn't say flat out no, absolutely,
It
basically.
is good.
Right.
So,
I'm not looking for a vote yes. I'll take one if you want to give it to me, but
but if the vote's no,
I just want to say if you're completely against it, then I'd like to know that now.
I feel pretty good with my planning commission, so
Understood.
I'm not going to say totally against it. I'm going to say that they were the ones that looked at it and gave them leniency and worked with them on that. So I'll bring it back to them, let them reevaluate it and see if we can do it or not. And chances are, probably support
Thank you.
what they need.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing for old business? Yes, sir. Forum. This side? Yes.
Here, I'm President
Can
Ford.
you come up?
I can't, my foot.
Okay. Anybody from this side?
Just have one question regarding what was just discussed. Kristy, was that in our packet?
He overruled.
It was, as a
Because it's my
placeholder,
foot.
I can always
It's
update
torn.
your packet with the electronic file of that sketch. I'll double check.
Yeah, if you could, can you send it out so we can get it?
Yep, and there'll be hard copies too,
Erin,
so,
it'd be nice to see it. I didn't see it in there, I just saw it mentioned, but.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do
have
have,
materials attached to it.
I do have hard copies and I can update the agendas.
If you send it electronically, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Scott?
Yeah, I just want to take time to thank a bunch of people for how smoothly the voting happened last cycle.
Scott, can you come up?
Pardon me?
Can you come up here?
Oh, but Gary didn't need to come up there, huh?
I'm kind of trapped.
My point was, if people are coming up giving plans, if someone is giving plans, it would be nice to have it kind of shown to the public in the audience so we can see what they're talking about and what you're seeing. And you're being very disrespectful.
Good. Okay, I just want to have a shout out for some people that made the election day a little bit smoother. At the parking lot where we had Karen Custer-Forks, Bud Hannon, Michael Louie, Lorraine Louie, and Levi Kaufman, who's on the planning commission. And they helped everybody move around the parking lots, come up to the high lot, go to the low lot. Additionally, I want to thank Don Johnson and his crew for the tower lights and clearing of the field and the loan and safety equipment. Additional shout out for Sam Fisher for providing pizza for the parking crew, and Jolene Morrison for being everywhere she needed to be in a moment's notice. Also Kurt Reeves for providing refreshments. And lastly, John Stoltzfus, who's on the Land Preservation Committee for the use of his land for the parking lot, the lower parking lot, which took all the load off the road. It made everything much more smoothly. So it just shows a team effort. We can get a lot of stuff done significantly better than it's been done in the past. So a good shout out, and that's from the Area 1 Republican Committee, Valerie, Shultz, and myself.
Board of Supervisors.
Anybody else?
Amazing.
Okay. Adjourn the meeting?
Yeah.
Second? Favor? Aye. Thank you.
It's fine because it's all on video, how he's so disrespectful to people of this community. So, don't mind me, make him look like an ass. I like him. But then after, but I got the torn